Today, I'm going to go over a few solutions of sending mass email. I will be comparing Mailchimp versus Constant Contact versus Listmark, which is an open source solution that you can implement yourself for sending mass email. The first thing I will do, it would go over a big architectural diagram on how those email systems work. And then I'm going to show you an example for each of these. For simplicity, I'll be using WordPress as our UI because it's very simple to integrate each of those solutions. And then I will send some test email so that you can see how it works. And finally, at the end of the presentation, I'm going to go over costs for each solution and which one might best fit you based on your business size, your subscriber size, and how much money you're willing to pay for each of the solutions. If that interests you, keep watching. There will be breakpoint throughout the entire video, so you can go directly into the piece that you're more interested in. All right, let's go over the architecture of the system. So first we have a visitor. This can be a visitor or it can be a customer. It can be anyone who is interested in subscribing to your site. Usually this person would go into your website, which could be hosted by WordPress or Wix or Squarespace. And once they go on your website, usually, there's a hosting provider for your site, but don't worry about this detail for now. Once they reach your website, you should usually give them a form that they fill in. On that form, the minimum requirement is for them to put their email, and sometimes you can capture both their email and their name. So once the user press enter, that form is going to get submitted into your application that handle emailing. In this, we have Listmark is one of them. We have Constant Contact, and we have Mailchimp. So these applications, once you get the request, it will store the request, the user email inside the database. And that's usually the interaction. There's other places you can capture user email, for example, when they sign up into your website, or when they made a purchase, or when they do any other action where they fill a form. And you can always navigate it in a way so that it goes into this Listmark or Constant Contact or Mailchimp to fill into the database. This is you as the business owner or the list manager or maybe someone who works in marketing. When you go into the application, you will be able to see all of the customer that has been registering onto your website, or you will be able to see which list they are part of. The application should also give you a way to write your email. So you go ahead, you write your email. Sometimes you can template this email, like replacing, for example, name with the actual name of the person. And once you write the email inside the application, you submit it, eventually it's going to hit the SMTP server. I put SMTP in AWS. That's not necessarily true. This is if you are hosting that system on your own. The example that I will use is Listmark, and I host my Listmark on GCP, and then my SMTP server is in AWS. So the SMTP server knows how to deliver email into customers' email mailbox. So once the SMTP get the information about the email address and the actual body of the email and all these things, it will eventually deliver the email to the customer. And once the email is delivered to the customer, you as the list manager should be able to see who was able to, how many email got delivered successfully, who click on the link in your email, who opens the email. You should be able to get some statistics that help you with this information. One thing I forgot to mention, when you register users, it's always good to verify their email so that you don't have email being delivered into mailboxes that are not working. That's pretty much it. Now let's go ahead and implement this with Mailchimp. All right, you're right now in Mailchimp's website. In it, you can quickly pick what you want. I picked the trial version because this is what most business would use. Most business would be better off paying for the service. So they have, Mailchimp has email and SMS, which is text message, and also some transactional. So for 500 contact, it's about $20 a month. So you can send up to 6,000 email per month. All right, let's start the free trial. So I started by creating an account. So you can either create a new account or you can use Google so that it does it for you via OAuth. And once the account is created, you will eventually be asked to pay for the account. So this is a trial. So right now I don't really have to pay, but they still get your credit card information. So 500 contacts, 6,000 email, I authorize, and then put my payment information. All right, after you pay them, you will eventually get this screen. And this screen will tell you what to do. Next, they want to learn a little bit about you. This is where you get your information, your phone number, and things like that. And also what type of business that you do. Like this little thing is where I do my film production. So I put things related to film production and I give them the website. So they use this information just so that when you contact them, they can help you. And you greet it around with some quick video tutorial that goes over the basic. These are really quick to watch. So if you want, you can watch them or you can skip for now. They also can put you in contact with a physical person. So next, after you have all this taken care of, you would be landed to some extra offers. So let's pause it for a moment. So this is their official plugin that they have to use. But my biggest concern with using their official plugin is the review. As you can see, the review is very bad. It's like 2.6 out of 5 stars. I think the moment you have to go change the code, most people don't want to do that. They want the onboarding to be faster. So because of that, in my personal integration, I will use a completely different plugin. I'll not use this one, but you're welcome to use it. They will give you all the documentation on how to use it. But the review really pained me out. And these are recent review. So March 2025. So these are things like this year. And most people say it's not, they don't like it. So that being said, I'll be installing my personal plugin. Well, once you install everything, this is what the UI look like. You can see it's pretty clean. To the left, you have the options, and to the middle, you can see different tasks that you can do to complete the onboarding. This includes setting up things related to your contact and uploading your information and maybe even setting up your DNS. All right, now we're going to get the API key. We click on our profile, and from our profile, we click extra. And here we're going to get the API key. The API key is needed for plugin integration with WordPress. So in the plugin that we're using, they will ask us one of the input to be the API key. So we create the API key. And one thing to keep in mind, you're going to see this API key once. And also from my side, I'm not going to keep this API key open. So by the time this video is posted, I would have already taken that API key and rotate it or something. So we give it a name. For simplicity, I'm going to give it a name that I can really know the purpose. So I call it YouTube demo. And once you click generate the key, you can see the key right now. Remember, you will not be able to see this key many times. So the best thing is to just copy it and put it somewhere safe. You can always delete the API key and regenerate it. So now we have the API key. Next step is going to be going on our website so that we could easily integrate with our WordPress website. So this is the website that we're going to be adding email subscription on. This website is the website that I use for film production. So we have a film production company here in Atlanta where we make small film, but we don't have a way to talk to customer yet or to have people join our mailing list whenever we are trying to start a new project. All right, we are now in the back end of the website. If you use WordPress, you know where I am. So first I click on plugin. This is where you can find the plugin that you want to install on your WordPress website. So I search Mailchimp. And when I search Mailchimp, you can clearly see if you compare to what comes. There's two very popular plugins. First, we have the Mailchimp for WooCommerce. If you're looking at how many installation that they have, and also you're looking at how many review, even though the plugin is written by the people who own Mailchimp, I like Mailchimp for WordPress better. They have more than 2 million active installation, and they recently updated like less than a month ago. And also about 1,000 people submitted their review, and out of the 1,000 people, they all 5 stars, compared to 700 people who submitted for Mailchimp for WordPress, where they are barely 4 stars. So I'm gonna go with Mailchimp for WordPress plugin. Now that we have activated the plugin, we can go to the left where we would see the option for the plugin. Then we click Mailchimp. Remember the API key we got earlier? So now we're going to copy and paste that API key here. That API key just make it so that the plugin can send requests to the backend service, so that when someone gives you their name or email address, you can send a request from your WordPress installation into the Mailchimp backend system, and that will allow them to register people into your list for you. So I think that's one of the things with this plugin. It's very, very, very easy to set up. All you need is the API key. It automatically creates an audience ID and added one contact out of the box. So now that we took care of that, the next thing is to create a form. So I click on the new form, and it's good to give it a form. So this also, I have to mention that this is not the premium plugin. So the premium plugin, you have to pay for it to give you some more feature, but for simplicity, I'm using the free version of the plugin. So I call it Gravel Mailchimp form because it's easy. So now I have a form. So this form would send people into the Gravel list, I would call it. And when I add the form, so the form is a plain HTML that you can easily, let me close this. So the form is a plain HTML, right? You can add more properties as you needed, and it's stored by the email. Like you see, the email is required. That's why it's gray out. And then you can add first name and any extra name. So the field name is how the field is going to be named, maybe on your list when you see it. The placeholder is if you want to put some thing so that when people see it, the entry, they can read what is in there when the form is empty. Yeah. So usually call this a placeholder. So for simplicity, I'll just call it, keep it first name. For the placeholder, I will put first name so that when someone look at the form, they will see the first name. And I'm going to leave everything optional. So I'm also going to put the name required so that when you send a mail to someone, you can see, hi, John, or hi, Peter, and things like that. And I think that's pretty much it for this form. You can add more stuff like birthday, last name, street name, city, zip code, and any other thing that might help you segregate your customer. For simplicity, I'm going to add the phone number too for this one. Sometimes if you want to text people, you might put the phone number, but it's not a required field. I just add it here for simplicity. So now that's pretty much what the form is look like. For now, it's inheriting the HTML and CSS from the theme. So usually give you a short code that you can put into your template, but we're gonna go over this after. Now let's take a quick look over messages. Those are the messages that the user find once they submit the form, or if there are some invalid entry. So those are general error. So you can customize this based on your preferring. Sometimes if you speak a different language, maybe you can put it in the language that you are serving your customer. Next step is setting. Let's go about it. For the free version, you can only have one list. So what is double opt-in? Double opt-in is a thing where if you capture the email, you need to ask them to verify. And that means that not only they put their email, they will get an email to verify. It's part of GDPR compliance. It's some European thing that protects user. Someone who just subscribes to your list don't want to get email from you. And also give them a way to get out of your email on their own. Hide successful sign up so that when someone submits the form disappear. You don't see it again. That's what this option do. So I left it as no, they can still see the form. After they submit the form, you can redirect them to another page to tell them, hey, thank you for subscribing or some extra other thing. So this part affect how the form looks like. It reads from the CSS and maybe JavaScript that is going on your WordPress theme. For simplicity, I keep it on basic, and you will see once I keep it basic, the form is going to look correct. So now you can see the form looks like it's intended to be. Next step now is going to be to copy this form shortcode and place this form shortcode on your website wherever you want to display that form. So you have to have some familiarity with your theme to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But before doing that, I'm going to quickly add an entry text on the form. This is plain HTML. It's a H1 tag. And in it, I'm just going to tell people to join this mail list. It gives people a way to know what they're signing up for. So join our email list. Like this on the form, when they see it on the side, they will know why we're getting their information. Now that we have the shortcode, we're going to drop it into our website. I use Astra as my theme, so that's why I'm clicking here. So for you, you may have to figure out how your theme works. So now Astra is very easy to use. I think you use Elementor down. So I'm putting it in the footer of the website. The footer of the website is divided into 3 portions for my personal website. So I put it in a widget, and then I will pick shortcode. There are many ways of doing this. This is theme dependent. So once I have the shortcode, you can clearly see it go ahead and added the form that we created earlier. Let's go ahead and publish this. And then after that, we're going to figure out how it looks like as someone who is actually visiting the website. So now this is the visitor's perspective. As you can see, the big join our mailing list is written. Let's quickly give it a test. We're going to start by putting the first name. I added the first name as needed so that people can, when you send the email, you can say, hey, Edson, blah, 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 blah. So down there, you can see the message coming up. This is the message on the app, on the plugin that we talked about earlier. You can change that message to fit your needs. Now let's check our email because we had double opt-in activated. The first thing we can notice is that the email didn't drop into our mailbox. So this is something that you might have to put into your head when you just sign up, but there is a way to fix that, and I'll go about it in a moment. So, but when we look into my spam folder, you can see the message actually reach our mailbox. Good thing is to click report not spam. This will let Google know this account is not a spam account. So this is the yes, subscribe me to the list. So you have to click it. And this will allow Mailchimp to take care of the double opt-in. Let's take a look into the format and the email info. You can see it was sent by us via MailchimpSignup.com to Edson, and then we can see the date, the subject line, and then it's actually mailed by main Druid app, and it's signed up by Mailchimp sign up. So this is one thing. Now you're not actually sending the email from your actual server. It's this is Mailchimp server handling the sign up for you. Part of the verification is to check if you're a real person, because you can always have an automated bot reply for you. But if you're a real person, I think that's a Cloudflare thing or Google things that by the shape or the way your mouse moves, they can identify if you're human. Now we officially sign up into that mailing list. Let's jump back into Mailchimp application so we can see what it looks like and how to send email. Now that we are inside the Mailchimp application, we can get started. I'm clicking on audience so we can quickly see the email address that I just registered. And you can see this email is verified. And yeah, and there are some extra fields that you can ask the person to fill if it's helpful for you. This would help with email segmentation. So next, let's now do some email verification and domain verification. When you do this, it makes the possibility of your email to get into the person's mailbox higher instead of going to spam. So there are many ways you can do that, but one way is you put the email address from the domain, and then you verify that you actually have access to the email address. So for example, for me, the domain I have, it's at guavu.com. So I put edson@guavu.com. And like this, I can go ahead and click, and it will go verified. They will go ahead and send me a code, and I'll go ahead and paste the code in the email verification. So now I'm checking. So this is the email I got from Mailchimp, and they set it to the address that you put initially. So I'm going to copy this code, and then I'm going to go ahead and paste it inside the email verification portion. So now I pasted it. All right, now we're going to verify our domain name. Again, we do all this so that the probability of email sent by your campaign is delivered into the actual inbox and not into spam. So that's why you have to do all this. So for the domain verification, there are many ways of doing it. There is an easy way and there is an hard way. The hard way is to do it manually. And this is a little bit complicated when you do it manually. Pretty much you have to go into the DNS entry. And inside of the DNS, depending on your provider, you have to add some key value pair. So those value will be given to you by Mailchimp, and also the key will be given to you by Mailchimp. So that's one way of doing it, but I would not recommend you to do it this way. Not unless you have complicated emails way of doing it. You're better off to do it automatically. So when we start authenticated automatically, it's going to figure out who is your domain provider. And then after that, it's going to ask you to log in. And then once you log in, you give them temporary access to add those key value pair entries for you inside of your DNS entry. And with those extra steps, it makes it so that your delivery eventually get delivered correctly. So now that I put the SiteGround email verification, so it's going to go ahead authenticate. And after the authentication, it usually takes some time for the verification to happen because of caching, and sometimes DNS doesn't get updated immediately because they have to propagate the change across all of the DNS all over the planet. So maybe 24 hours, but usually 15 to 20 minutes, you should be good to go. So now we verify our domain. Again, we do that so that when we send email, it doesn't go to junk. There is some reputation things going on. And we have to wait a little bit for the authentication. We have to wait a little bit for the domain to be, authenticated and stuff like that. There are a lot of steps in WordPress that you could do, but to keep this video simple, I'm not going to go through all of the detail because Mailchimp is very big and very complicated. Now let's build a simple email. One thing I like about Mailchimp is that they give you option to build from scratch, or you can select a basic layout, which has the scaffolding, or a fully fledged version, or plain HTML. If you are very confident, you can take the plain HTML. One thing I like about them is that when you are setting up the website, you give them your email, they go and read your email and then figure out the color theme and automatically generate a template for you that match with your brand. Like this, you don't have to start from scratch. And I think this can save you a lot of time. And you can also test in this. You can see how user friendly it is, like mobile friendly, so people who are looking at it in their mobile. Usually it's always good to start with something that's already halfway big from what you want, then to start from scratch. This is for everything. Even software engineering, you don't start from scratch. You take something that's built and then you make it yours. So for simplicity, those image, they pick them again from our website. So for simplicity, I'm going to use the same image. This is our production company where we make film. And now we shift to make commercial for small business. So if you're in Atlanta and you need production and things like that, definitely contact me. I'll definitely love to collaborate with you. So let's go back to the email. So yeah, here you can go ahead and set your, write your email. For simplicity, I'm just making it as straightforward as possible. Put some, so I want when someone click this, so that it goes to a specific web page. It's gonna be on the, my home page. So when you click it, I want you to go to guavo.com. But again, this is just for testing. You can put whatever you want. And right, so we test it, it goes to the web page. And now something I realize is you have to modify the template to use it. They're not gonna let you send email without modifying. Down below are some code that you can write so that it automatically generates those things for you, which is like the year, the company, the address. You can even add some extra things that would take the person's name and put it on the template so that it automatically, for every email that's being sent, you can have the person's name or some of the other information about the persons, like if you want. One thing, you cannot send an email if you don't modify the template. That makes sense, right? So let's go back and go ahead and modify all of the field so that we can send a test email. So they didn't like that we didn't modify this one. Let me put my own stuff. So we are happy that you have, I don't know, chosen, English is not my first language, so Guavo for your production needs. All right. So this is basic quick typing. Again, I'm just testing. So let's see, what else would they want? Okay, they want you to remove and replace the text, add button text. So instead of saying add button text, let's just add something, click here, or something, something that's very. Oh, also see on the left, you can change the color, you can change the style, but for simplicity, I'm not going to spend a lot of time into this. So let's go ahead and modify this. We're gonna call this, I don't know, let's think. We're gonna call this visit our website or our site, our website. All right, let's type visit our website. And then we save, and now everything looks good. We're gonna set it to 2 subscribers. The first subscriber is the owner of the email. And then the second one was the one that I created to send email. And then it's gonna be from Guavo. You can change this, but for simplicity, I'm gonna leave it as if. So subjects, that's what they're going to see once they look at the email. Mailchimp gave you a preview text. If your subject is super long, and sometimes people open thing in their phone, so there's not enough real estate. So you can pick something else, a smaller version, so that when they look in their phone, they can see it. You can schedule post or schedule time to send it, but for simplicity, I'm sending it now. One thing that they also give you is the ability to connect your social media platform into it. I don't have a Facebook anymore because Facebook is old. Not because it's old, but they deactivated my account someone tried to hack my account, so it's been deactivated, and I never reactivated back again. Now that we took care of that, let's go ahead and send a text email. Usually it's always good to send a test just so that you can be sure of what it's going to look like, so that you don't want to send the email to everybody. So we send a test. It would ask you, where do you want to send the test email? So you just put the email that you want to use. And for this one, I'm going to use my personal email. And then, yeah, and then they also give you some extra options. So this is the admin account. You can add some extra text if you want, or you can have some extra comment. So now that you send the text, let's go ahead and see the test coming into our email. And like this, we can know for sure the test was sent and then there was no error or deliverability issue. All right, let's go. So now we're going to send the wheel email too. So the wheel email, we have 2 subscribers. So only 2 subscribers in our list, they send it. Usually Mailchimp doesn't send it immediately. They probably have to queue it because they're probably sending a million email per minute. So there is I would say there are some steps. So see, you can see it says pending. The status is pending. But our test email is sent immediately. So let's take a look to find what's the test email look like. So see test, welcome, it's right there. And yeah, let's see. So that's the test email. The image is generated correctly. For those social media link, it's not there because we didn't put it. And also, you can see extra things about the data, like where your business is located at and things like that. This one didn't work because it's a test email, but in the correct version, this link would work without issue. Some of the link doesn't work in the test email, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. So now I'm waiting to find the actual email if they will send it. So usually if you don't see the email, you can check the spam, but when I checked the spam, it was not here. Again, has to do with Mailchimp. When you send a wheel email, they don't deliver it immediately. There is some latency, and also depending on the size of your email, it might take some time. So I sent the wheel email into 2 accounts. One was my Gravel account, and this other one was my personal account. But so far, we can see the email is not there. Again, it doesn't send the email immediately. It takes some time before the email is here. So let's give it some time and look back in 5 minutes. All right, after waiting a good 5 minutes, you can see the welcome email is right here. And if you click it, boom, you would be able to see. All right, thank you for watching. I hope you gain value of this. The next email, I'm going to talk about constant contact integration. The pattern is similar. You can take a look at the architecture to kind of have an idea. And if you have a small business and you want help with technology, you can contact me. I help Selling Pizza Group here in Atlanta. We help small businesses with their technology. This includes setting up email marketing, capturing video for their Instagram marketing, and all those things in between. I hope you contact us here in Atlanta and wait for the next video about the constant contact integration. Thanks.